just acknowledge yourself and face yourself and actually want and have the heart to want to do better or get better or heal. Just the very want of healing will actually aid you to merge. And you need to listen to yourself.
I am presenting to you a compilation of some of the teachers I have online that I listen to. They don't know me, but I listen to them. So everybody's a teacher. Every situation is a teacher. Every relationship that you've had with a negative person has been a teacher. And I'm sure you've been a teacher to people too.
A life lived as a prayer, one's life lived as a contemplative style, is to me the most rapid and rewarding means of spiritual evolution. To be aware at all times of that which you are, to be what you are like a mudra. You know what a mudra is? It's a hand position. To be so that your life itself is a presentation as you are. I am as I am. To Thee, O Lord. And to Thee do I surrender that which I have become.
If you don't know how to turn inward and look inward and face yourself, if you don't have the internal intestinal fortitude to look inward and face yourself, then you're just going to be externalizing. Whether it's religion, there's only one way out, and that's to turn inward. And if we are to share some of the actual messages of the actual Christ that made it through the Bible, there are some phrases there that are from the actual Christ. And, the kingdom of heaven is within. Know thyself. What do you reckon that's all about? So if you understand the extent of those phrases, like it might be a short phrase, but it speaks volumes upon volumes upon volumes. It's basically like this: if you don't know how to turn inward and look inward and face yourself, if you don't have the internal intestinal fortitude to look inward and face yourself, then you're just going to be externalizing. Whether it's religion, whether it's and you can say chakras, kundalini, pineal gland are inside of us, yeah, but they're implants. Their technologies have been infused into our physiology, right? This is a very deep process of control. So think of it as a more advanced version of having a chip put in your brain. Just think really advanced technology, ethereal implants, yeah? Just more advanced. And then we do have a biological chip in our head. It's called the pineal gland. And that's what freaks people out, is because when you start to look into the extent of the control system through the pineal gland, the kundalini and the chakras, it's really extensive. And then and the further you go into it, the line of inquiry, all your belief systems get challenged along the way in your journey into truth. So people want the truth, but then when they're faced with the truth, when it turns up, they bounce off it and go back into the matrix. They want it, they seek it, and when it arrives, they're like, no, now they don't want it. Why? Because in order for them to face the truth means they have to now dismantle all their false belief systems, all the lies and all the masks they wear, because they're living their identities through these ideological systems. They're not living their true nature, turning inside out from within. They're not being authentic. So all of you that are stuck in your belief systems, you're not authentic, you're not being real, you're living a lie. You're living through a belief system, a narrative, someone else's story of who and what you should be. So when we start to get raw and real and we turn inside out, then you begin to connect to what's real in life. The only way you're going to connect to what's real in life is through what's real inside of you, within you. There's only one way out, organically, truthfully. There's only one way out of this, yeah? Because if you don't choose that one way out, then you're going to be recycled back into the multidimensional cosmic matrix one way or another, where you get harvested by the technological intelligence God, because now you've chosen to be assimilated in the technological singularity in one form or another, or you get harvested by a religious God. in one form or another. Right? Either way, you're going to get harvested. Yeah? So they're your only other options, or you leave the planet through the death process. So you've only got 3 options other than the true path. You've got 3 other pathways to choose from. If you cannot be strong enough to look inward and actually face yourself and come to terms with the fact that, yes, I have invested my beingness into a false narrative. I've invested into a belief system that has been fed to me, that my whole society and culture has been programmed with by, through millennia. I'm strong enough to stand in my true light and stand in the light of the false narrative and the imperial narrative. I do have that courage. And I really hope that each and every one of you listening to this will also embody that degree of courage, where you can stand in the true nature to be the guardian of who and what you truly are, and to do it with assertiveness, but graceful assertiveness. And so when you get to that point of self-realization, that you're actually going to be honest with yourself to the degree that you can literally admit, oh, wow, yes, I have. It's true. I have literally invested my identity, and I'm living my identity through, well, let's say I'm a Christian. So all of a sudden you're in a cult. It's called the cult of personality, which is the cult of Jesus, right? It's idolatry. It's not conscious relationship with Christ. It's a religious ideological program, a narrative that's been given to you by empire, and everybody's worshipping this Jesus persona, which will come and save you. Don't you worry. If you cannot identify the reality of that, and you want to still be immersed in the lie of that, whether it's Allah, whether it's Krishna, doesn't matter what your thing is, what your idolatry is, yeah, when you live and identify yourself through that idolatry. And that's the problem that's befallen all of our spiritual world, is it's one form of idolatry or another, and that's really, really sad. And it's always built on subservience too. Until you admit and come to terms with the fact that you have been hoodwinked by empire and you have invested yourself into a false narrative that isn't true. It exists, it is real, but the story of it is not true. And if you choose to be subservient and worship this entity that has been presented to you by empire, and that version of Christ, right, which is exactly what Christ warned us about the Pharisees, their deity and their ways, right? Christ warned us clearly about that, right? So what is every Christian on the planet doing right now? They're worshipping the version of Christ the Pharisees have given to them, and they're worshipping the deity of the Pharisees.
There are 3 parts to the Gnostic message for humanity. The first part is the Sophianic narrative, the fallen goddess scenario, explaining how the earth came to be. One of the astounding points of this narrative, which is the birthright of humanity, it's the story of our origin and of the origin of our planetary mother. It states clearly that the divine presence, living divine presence, which I call Gaia Sophia, which is currently existing in the earth, pre-existed the earth. In other words, those of you today who might be attracted to a pagan viewpoint, looking at the earth as divine, as a living being, as the mother goddess, as the earth goddess, those of you who are inclined to that view, I encourage you to consider the amazing statement of Gnosis, which is, yes, that is true. Gaia is a living goddess, but she even existed before she was Gaia. And that is what the story tells. That Gnosticism was viciously attacked. The Gnostics came out of the mystery schools to warn the early Christians that they were on a very dangerous road of delusion and self-destruction by accepting Yahweh as the true God, when he was only an imposter. He was an archontic God, a pretender. And they warned against that because they had direct knowledge of the story of Sophia, and they called themselves Telestas, meaning we who are aimed, we who are guided. So they were guided by her story to the truth. If you want to know, if you really want to know, that is to say, to become a Gnostic, how the earth originated, how the human species itself was created, how the genome was designed, if you want to know exactly who are these archonic extraterrestrial parasites, how they originated, where they exist, how they operate against humanity, if you want to know all that, there's only one way that you can actually know it directly, and that is by entering an ecstatic trance and knowing it in a state of ecstasy. It was the kind of knowledge that you can only know when you're in ecstasy. Now, you have to be in ecstasy to know these things. To enter into ecstasy, I have to emphasize again, if you want to meet the wisdom goddess, if you want to know the origin of this planet, you can, of course, listen to the reports and findings of Gnostics such as myself, but that's second-hand information. Mm-hmm. If you want to know yourself, go into ecstasy. You cannot know it without being in ecstatic trance. It isn't.
So the truth of the matter is, the God in the Bible is the true demiurge, right? The true Satan, Al Satan, the opposer, because that entity is in full opposition to the natural way of love and the natural way of life and the natural way of light. Yeah. It presents its version of reality, right? Through their heart, soul, essence, with creation itself. People are not doing that. They're taking information in here, what's fed into this space, and remember, whatever you put into this space here then becomes the lenses that you perceive reality through. I just want to say that who and what we are as a species is so much greater than what we've been led to believe.
We've been lied to all along by this particular consciousness that's doing this. And another time we can address that particular consciousness and why and what it is.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it's onwards and upwards into the future and creating a beautiful future for everyone.
Exactly. It's in the hands of the people. We're the creators. They aren't the creators. They can't create. We can. Take responsibility and create for ourselves.
Thank you so much, Max.
No, you're very welcome. It was lovely.
Real pleasure.
Pleasure talking to you.
I am on a quest for the truth, and it's a noble quest because I question everything, which means I question everything within. I question all of my belief systems. It's not just me sitting in my own, self-deluded ego, questioning everything outside of myself, and I don't question anything within. What is that? That is serious self-delusion, right? That's egoic insanity. So what we've got to do is we've got to question everything within ourselves, all our belief systems, all our ideologies, and look at where we're investing our identity through. And I've decided to, because when you go down this path, you begin to very quickly see, and all your belief systems get challenged along the way, because you've got to get rid of all those masks, those layers, to get to what's real inside of you. Once you get to start to get what's real inside of you, you begin to get to what's real in life, in reality. And you can only access what's real through what's real in you. Okay? Now, this is the amazing thing is, this is our actual natural evolution. You begin to realize, hang on a minute, we're these really incredible beings. We're universal fractals. And we have gods out there that are so jealous of us.
Yeah.
So jealous of us. They're freaking out. Because you have babies being born in this world through our natural fractal structure that have access to more life force, universally speaking, than any of the gods ever will. And when that sword of truth, when actual logos hits you, it hurts. And I've had that happen to me throughout my life, and that's what taught me beautiful lessons, because I became to realize every time I felt that pain, I had the choice. Do I dig my heels in and defend the belief system? Or do I actually listen to what life is trying to tell me and come to the realization that, I do have another layer of mask. I do have another level of living a lie, invested into a belief system, identifying myself through that. I have to now deconstruct that. I need to embrace that, alchemize it, pull all the wisdom that I can out of it, and totally dissolve it and integrate it back into my being. So now I can be clearer, I can be freer, Now I can go on to my next adventure and find out what I need to alchemize next.
Well, basically, the control. People who feel that the earthly control is overwhelming, they want out of this realm. What can they do on a personal level to get out of this?
Yeah, I just shared it. You got to go inward. That's it. And it's a lot easier than what people realize, because really it's just going from here to here. That's it. You just got to travel that far. And it was right under your nose the whole time. The whole time. Right there. Because the fifth element comes out from your core, arranges the elements, and then you animate yourself into existence, right? Into form. That perpetual flow, the fountain that you are from your core, from deep within there, subquantum.
A part here in your 12th cranial nerve, your hypoglossal, that to this day we call the olive. And that in your body are 33 vertebrae. And Jesus Christ lived for 33 years. And that Christ means anointed, and anointing means to be blessed with sacred oil. And if I tell you that a sacred oil is born of the human organism every single month, when the moon enters your sign.
Spirulina, talk about the spiral staircase. It has the spiral in it. Spirulina actually fixes your DNA. And I can see that. I literally can see that on a level and sense it. And the thing is that we have the different fruits and vegetables for each chakra color. So we're trying to light up the chakras and align them. We're trying to light up the body so that you then become perceptive of the different things around you. And that's originally how humans were. And this is why they've created synthetic colors, because the fruits and vegetables will actually mirror off negative energies and get rid of them, and it will strengthen your chakras, whereas synthetic colors will go into your chakras and will actually attract entities to you,
right,
or feeding
so
to
again,
you.
our food is being manipulated to actually kill us or harm us.
It's being manipulated to let us be fed off of so we're being fed off of.
So we become food for other entities.
Yes. Problem is that lower beings are trying to keep people here and use them for energy, or souls here and use them for energy. And also when the higher beings come down to try to help, they get stuck here and fed upon. Because you're supposed to continue your journey, and it's this it's infinite, and continue to grow. And so far I've noticed that in this system, people have been, or souls have been locked here, or just they've been here for quite a long time.
Well, basically, the control. People who feel that the earthly control is overwhelming, they want out of this realm. What can they do on a personal level to get out of this?
Yeah, I just shared it. You got to go inward. That's it. And it's a lot easier than what people realize, because really it's just going from here to here. That's it. You just got to travel that far. And it was right under your nose the whole time. The whole time. Well, okay, so this is your heart soul essence, and if you've got a medicine wheel, where do you put it on someone? Right there. Because the fifth element comes out from your core, arranges the elements, and then you animate yourself into existence, right? Into form. That perpetual flow, the fountain that you are from your core, from deep within there, subquantum.
This is how you realign with this. So what I wanted to touch on is, you talked about the mind. This is where we are in World War III. It's a battle of the mind. It's about mind controlling your own emotions, your heart, and your systems, and your will. So it's actually an incredible gift that we're being pummeled by all this crapola that we need to climb out of, to understand we don't need it. It's free will choice. It's all about free will. Respecting your own will, not having a judgment on others, but understanding that you can do what you need to do to get your own job done.
Honestly, nothing is as it appears in this third dimensional reality.
Not at all.
Go into your heart. And even if you don't want to hear something, even if you don't feel comfort, go into your heart. Just ask your heart the answer. do I want this information? Do I need to find out more? Is this going to unlock some doors for me to have better comprehension? Go there. Don't go outside yourself.
When you merge yourself together, though, you won't have issues with this sort of stuff as much anymore. Yes. I've noticed a lot of people who've been through trauma, I can actually see the soul or sense the soul in back above them. And a lot of people walking around they're more robotic. They don't have their soul merged into them. You know, just acknowledge yourself and face yourself and actually want and have the heart to want to do better or get better or heal. Just the very want of healing will actually aid you to merge. And you need to listen to yourself. And yourself will often, your inner is going to guide you on how to merge, because it knows how to merge your soul with yourself. A lot of people are suffering in one way or another. A lot of people are unhappy, or they feel unloved, or they're suffering in society. And if they were merged, they wouldn't have those sort of issues, because they would surpass all of that. So I think if we can inspire them also, and so look, there's this here. Becoming sensitive too. You have to become sensitive. Being sensitive is very important. Sensitive to energy, and by feeling more and more and more, you become more and more sensitive. And as you become more and more sensitive, you become more and more sensitive to interdimensionality and to what's there. So that's the whole goal, is to become more sensitive, so that the energy flows through us from our soul and the source connection we have. It flows through us.
John Irwin refers to a predator who wishes to strip us of all this and eliminate this, so they can solely inhabit this domain and even change it.
Right, and they want these bodies because the bodies on a level are able to ascend to other dimensions and they're higher beings that came into a body and evolved the DNA. Does that make sense?
They short-circuited?
Yeah, the higher beings incarnated into a body and evolved the DNA. And so all of the abilities of interdimensional walking or healing or all sorts of abilities, all sorts of things are within those DNA. And what they want to do is they want to merge with that, or I guess hack it, you could say. It's almost like hacking a computer.
Do you think we're suffering from other beings who have hacked into our dimension?
Oh yes,
and the other way
yes,
around?
And yes, that's why we need these healing centers, because we are, and it seems like there are the ones who are actually from higher dimensions are being very badly attacked, almost like by zombies. You always have to. You have to have a fight always going on to continuously steal energy. If nobody's fighting, you're not going to get any energy either. And you have to use that person's ego, and also you have to indoctrinate them to go ahead and use them as a chess piece. So it often happens as little kids. So you have different groups, religious groups around the world also, who are interfighting. I think to say that the religious writings are bad, I wouldn't go there. I would say that a lot of them are divine in the beginning, and they were tainted by the lower beings that actually had the power to go into bodies and taint them and eventually use them. But originally they were divine. I would say because of the force right now that doesn't want us to light up or to heal, that you will have difficulty. It's not an easy path. But it definitely can cause a rift, and it definitely can cause where the people around you can be infiltrated also and be harmful to you. So you have to watch out specifically for friends, for family, if you wake up, because sometimes those can also be the most harmful to you, because they're so indoctrinated in religion, or they're also used because they're not awake themselves. My family, I think the preferable thing is to be nice to them and just to continue on your journey, and eventually they'll wake up because they are connected to you on a genetic level. So eventually even they will wake up some way. Everything is evolving.
First you must survive yourself, so that can happen.
Yes.
So do you have to somehow isolate yourself?
I don't think it's about isolation. I think it's about getting in touch with people that are like you, that are more awakened, and everybody can kind of help each other out, because I think there's strength in numbers. I just think that you need to be aware when people are accessed by something and they're trying to harm you, and avoid it, and realize that it's not that person. That person, they're as much as a victim. Yes. And that's the thing. Otherwise, like I said, the whole world would be damned if not. Start first with a very healthy diet, and then just acknowledge yourself. The first thing would be acknowledge yourself.
Treat your body well first.
Right, and then it's forgiveness too, because at night I go to sleep, go in bed, and I lay down, and it can be very hard sometimes to forgive. But I lay down and I have to remind myself every night, I forgive myself. I'm sorry to myself. So it's also about creating a self-trust with yourself first. And it's also creating a friendship with yourself, or your soul, because your soul will merge into your body when you trust yourself, when you love yourself, when you inspire yourself, when you treat yourself well, when you take care of yourself. So that's when your soul is then going to merge in your body, because then it will, especially because souls are from a lot of souls are from higher up, it won't be afraid. The reason it's out of the body is because it's afraid, and it's disconnected, and it's detached because it's very afraid of everything here. Because even for me, when I was little, I remember massive amounts of traveling through the stars and universes. And like I said, I came through the sun, and I'm not scared to sit here and say that. And in the end, it's when I got here, I think I was traumatized, because where I come from, it's only these sensations of feeling is millions of times more than here. It's more sensitive up there, because you have to realize you have all the energy streaming through you, so your sensation, so the feeling is you feel. And it was very hard here to feel like stuff that hurt or things like that, especially emotionally for me, or people harming each other, to see things like that, because I hadn't experienced those things very, very much. I hadn't really experienced.
Is that something you've had to experience as a learning?
Yes, I had to experience that through learning. And I would say that in the higher realms, there's some that have came down here a long time ago, and they're still down here. They've got kind of caught.
Yeah, I did that.
And they don't remember who they are. If we did have kings, and if we did have kings that were actually, their crown chakra was lit up like representation. And the scepter, the gold scepter, the scepter with the gems on it represents the king. He's being lit up, and his crown chakra is lit up. He puts his scepter out. He puts out his knowledge. Yeah. He puts out a higher divine knowledge to his people. And that's what, in wisdom and in the way that he does things. And our leaders, they're not like that. Our leaders are very closed off, and they're also being used by lower entities and lower things. So we no longer have kings that are lit up, or their crown chakra is lit up. So the world is in such a way as it is, and people are suffering also because our leaders aren't well.
That essentially the Illuminati, the higher evolved leaders of our culture across the world, were contaminated. They were accessed.
They were accessed
by these lower entities.
Yes. And I think it's because of them dealing with things that they weren't supposed to. I've noticed that the portal at Loch Ness is still open. And the other portal was supposed to be in San Francisco, apparently, if you remember. Did you read about that?
No, I didn't know.
And the same sort of thing was happening. But the one at Loch Ness is actually the
So can this be
more intense one?
Can this be closed? I mean, what's happened there?
Yeah, it can
Explain
be closed.
It's still open.
Apparently Crowley, he just took off from there, from what I understand, or he totally got.
Well, in closing, it's wonderful to have you here in Broadstairs, the home, and not the home, but where Charles Dickens wrote many of his great works.
Yes.
And it's a lovely part of the country, the most eastern part of England.
Hopefully we can set up more conferences that are for healing and stuff like that. I have a massive amount of conspiracy theorists that follow me, and they're asking me about this stuff, and I'm trying to tell them, like, you need to clear out your body and you'll start experiencing this stuff. Why are you asking me about this stuff when you can experience it yourself? I could never tell you. It's infinite. I could never tell you what I experience, and you want to find literal evidence. I'm sorry, but there is somewhat some literal evidence, maybe because we have cameras now that can capture photographs, of things and stuff, but it's interdimensional. It's on other levels. It's not something that's sitting here like the pillow.
We can physically detect implants which send signals out, but a lot of the implants, the energetic implants,
you have to remove them energetically. Yeah, it's about higher beings that came down here and got caught down here and are dragons now, and maybe they just have to remember. And when they remember who they truly are, they'll become kings and princes and princesses and queens, because originally that's how they were.
In some respects, it's been referred to as the butler is now running the butler has taken over the manor. Some people have suggested.
That's exactly what's happened. The jokers.
Yeah.
And the jokers. The jokers are acting like they're the king. Jokers are acting like they're the king. Jokers are acting like they're the kings.